on, everyone? This is Shannon from the Fantasy Academy, and we are going to be going through this week's tight ends, week 3 of the NFL, tight ends that you should be starting and sitting in your leagues. Now, these aren't the obvious players that you should be starting or not starting, but these are more of the fringe tight end guys that you can think about throwing in or streaming, as they say in fantasy football. So, first guy we have up, Jimmy Graham, going up against Atlanta. Atlanta, I've said this in some of my other videos, but they're allowing the most passing yards of any defense in the league. So Jimmy Graham, without Allen Robinson right now, the Chicago Bears, they should be hitting him and Anthony Miller. They should be receiving a lot of targets in week 3. So Jimmy Graham is a strong play. And then we have Jordan Reed going up against the New York Giants. However, make sure George Kittle is not going to be playing. He might be back for week 3, but if Jordan Reed is going to get the start and play, make sure to play him, because anytime you can play a Shanahan tight end, be sure to do that. A Kyle Shanahan tight end, play him. So whether it's George Kittle, Jordan Reed, play either one of them. And then we have Greg Olsen going up against Dallas. Dallas is another one of those teams that is allowing a lot of air yards defensively. And Seattle has been going, they love to go to the tight end. And Will Dissly, him and Greg Olsen are kind of the 1-2 tight ends for Seattle. Will Dissly is hurt. He's injured. He's questionable. So if he's not going to be playing this week, Greg Olsen will be a really strong play. Russell Wilson will be sure to get him and get him some targets and target him in the red zone as well. So Greg Olsen could be a strong play in week 3. And then we have Noah Fant going up against Tampa Bay. And the Broncos have been decimated. They lost Drew Lock. They lost Cortland Sutton. They lost Von Miller. They lost Phillip Lindsay. And so they've got Jeff Driscoll at quarterback. Jerry Jeudy is their top receiver right now. But then they've got Noah Fant at tight end, which also a receiver, not a wide receiver. But Noah Fant should be the guy for the Broncos right now. Obviously, they've got Melvin Gordon, too, in the backfield. They'll get him some targets. But Noah Fant should be getting the most targets, especially going up against Tampa Bay. They've got a really solid defense. So Noah Fant should be receiving lots of targets. Strong play in week 3. Then we've got Chris Herndon going up against Indianapolis. Lots of people have been saying, avoid Chris Herndon, because he plays for the Jets, which I understand that narrative, but Sam Darnold literally doesn't have anyone else to throw to. And I know you might say, you could have said the same thing last week, and they still didn't throw to Chris Herndon. But I think they probably watched the film. They're like, oh yeah, we have this Chris Herndon guy. We should probably get him the ball. And I think that's what they're going to do here in week 3, going up against Indianapolis. So Sam Darnold's going to be targeting Chris Herndon all game. Play Chris Herndon in week 3 unless you have way better tight ends. And then lastly, Mike Gesicki. He's been strong so far in 2020, and he's going up against Jacksonville. Thursday Night Football should be a lot of fun. Mike Gesicki's a strong play. I think he had 11 targets last game. So they're feeding him the ball. He's doing great things, and he's going to be a strong play against Jacksonville in week 3. Now let's talk about some tight ends that you should be sitting this week. First up, Austin Hooper going against Washington. Austin Hooper, I've been telling friends in my league for the last 2 years. The last 2 years, Austin Hooper has been really strong, but I've been saying he's trash for the last 2 years, just because I don't really believe Austin Hooper is that great of a fantasy tight end. I just believe he was with the Atlanta Falcons, and that's why he was good. There's lots of people who disagree with that, but I'm so deep into it now that I have to stick with Austin Hooper as trash. And now that he's with Cleveland, he's not seeing any targets. He's not seeing any action. He's going up against Washington in week 3. He hasn't done well so far, and they've got a pretty solid defense against tight ends. So stay away from Austin Hooper in week 3. He's trash. And then we've got Darren Fells and Jordan Akins going up against Pittsburgh. Neither of those guys are game busters, and they're going up against Pittsburgh. So stay away from the Texans tight ends as a whole. Robert Tonyan going up against New Orleans. He had a solid week last week, but New Orleans has a really strong defense, and I don't think Tonyan's going to put up big numbers 2 weeks in a row. And Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw to the tight end all that much anyway. So I say stay away from Tonyan in week 3 altogether. And lastly, this may or may not come as a surprise for a lot of you, but Rob Gronkowski, Gronk himself, as a sit. He's going up against Denver, but Bruce Arians came out this week and pretty much said, well, Rob Gronkowski isn't receiving targets because our offense doesn't target the tight end. And so far, I don't even know if Rob Gronkowski has put up 5 fantasy points altogether. I might be wrong about that. Maybe it's less than 10. But he just has not been what people thought he would be so far. Maybe Bruce Arians will decide to get the Hall of Famer more action. O.J. Howard did have a strong week 1. But if you have to play one of those guys, I would say go with O.J. Howard right now. So definitely sit Rob Gronkowski in week 3. Unless you have to play him, just wait till he has a big game to throw him into your roster, your starting lineup. Until then, keep him on your bench for now, or use him as trade bait. So that's it for tight ends this week, NFL Week 3. Be sure to comment below with tight ends that you believe we should be starting or sitting this week. Let's have a little discussion. And be sure to subscribe as well. I don't know why I'm pointing here or where it's going to be, but be sure to subscribe to the Fantasy Academy. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next week, week 4.